Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I am so very excited about today's guest because this is someone, I will admit, we've been trying for quite some time to get her here on the air because she is so incredible at all the things that she does, and she has so many different ways of providing value into the world to be of service to others. And I just so happen to think that what she does is probably the most important type of work that we all need to do as business owners, because the last thing that I want for any of you listeners is to be the best kept secret. And today's guest is all about making sure that you are not a secret. Her name is Denise Millet. Denise is the Findability Queen. I love that tagline for her. She's a search marketing consultant, tech simplifier. She's a trainer. She's an author. I'm so excited to tell you the title of her book. And she's a roving reporter for the weekly live stream called Good Morning Entrepreneurs. She's on a mission to make sure that the content we all create in our businesses is included in search results when our potential clients look for us online. Now, she's packed a lot of this knowledge into her book, which is called Be Findable. If they can't find you, they can't do business with you. She's also got some incredible products and services online to deeply service a bunch of people around the world with all different businesses and business models and industries. She has her workshop called Simple Ways to Make Yourself Findable. She's got a virtual scavenger hunt event. Those are just some of the ways that she's working towards her mission. We're going to drop those links at the end of today's episode, but I'm personally very excited about this, so I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Denise Millet. All right, Denise, I'm so excited and super grateful to have you on the air. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's such a pleasure to be here. I love that. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Oh, heck yes. What listeners don't know is that you and I just found out before we hit record, we are essentially neighbors, so I'm super excited about getting coffee together in person. But take us beyond the bio. Who's Denise? How'd you start doing all these cool things and becoming the Findability Queen?
Yeah, it's a long story, but we'll shorten it for you. I've been a systems consultant for a long time, for many, many years. I studied computer science, and so I've been training people how to use software, include it in their lives, make their work lives better. And all along the way, I've met all these brilliant people who hate tech, who don't know what they're doing, who are upset by it, and, PhDs, doctors, nurses, all sorts of brilliant people. And I've always been amazed at that. So when I decided to go out on my own in 2020, pandemic living, it was really trying to find the thing that was going to help the most. And it's, trying to make tech understandable for people. Everybody should get the benefit of using technology. There's so many things out there now as an entrepreneur that we all need. And no one is beyond being able to do it. It's just they've never had the opportunity to have someone explain it to them. And the industry is so bad at explaining things. So that's part of it. And then the search marketing I've been fascinated by from the dawn of all of this. And it's really the simple pieces that I believe people are missing. They hear all the hype and all the agencies want to, get to the top of the page and all these other stats and everything. It's like, well, you can't optimize what you don't have. So if you're not in there in the first place, if you're not findable, if you don't make your content be included, you can't get it to the top of the page, and nobody's going to know it's there. So that's kind of how I've gotten along the way, is from my corporate culture career consulting into what can I do for entrepreneurs and take my skills and something I'm passionate about and really speak a different way and make it easier on people.
Yeah, I really love that overview, especially because it reminds me, probably in my late teenage years when I started getting into entrepreneurship, I looked at all these case studies of businesses that seemingly succeeded overnight. And I'll never forget the first case study that I found. Denise, it was the Pet Rock, which did, I think it was $7 million in revenue. And so in my head, that was the light bulb that made me realize it's not the best products that win. It's not those products that succeed. It's the ones that people hear about, the ones that people are able to find. Talk to us about, to me, that's what stands out in your work, is it truly comes down to that findability. You don't talk about all that jargon like SEO, which we will inevitably talk about search engine optimization here today, but it seems to me like you obsess about findability. Where's that come from?
There's the first step to all this is getting your content read by the search engine programs, right? And the search engines are in business to sell advertising. But they also get a lot of searches and they don't have advertising on all the words and all the things. So they go out on the internet and read all these pages and try to find entries for their catalog that would be solutions for people that are searching. And if your pages, your content don't have the titles or the headings or the easy, basic things describing them for these programs, then you don't get included in the search engines. And then so when someone does a search and there's room on the page to fill in with some results, you're not part of the catalog. So if you're not even there, then you're missing a grand opportunity because everybody spends so much time on all this content, hours and hours. And that's what we're all about as entrepreneurs. And sometimes I've gone to people and their websites aren't even in the biggest search engine out there.
Yeah, which is still crazy to me in 2024. And even just thinking about, you use that word easy, Denise, and it truly is. It's never been easier than it is today to make sure that we're getting found. Maybe that's a blessing and a curse. Maybe it's convoluted and we don't even know where to turn. There's so many options for us. So break it down for us. A lot of people don't even realize how easy it is, or even at a super basic level, how search engines even find and index content so that it displays when we search.
So there are these programs or bots, robots or spiders, they call them, and they basically read all the public pages on the internet. So they start and they constantly run. They are autonomous and they're just constantly running. So they're reading a page and they look at the title, they look at the description, they look at the content itself and some of the headings you have there to try to determine what it's all about. They'll look at the images, they'll look at any audio or video you have and try to put together a picture about what this page is about. And then they'll find the links that are on that page and say, okay, well, I'll go to that one next and that one next and that one next. And they keep all the links and they start to travel the links like a web, like a spider would, and just cataloging all these pages. So, there's a lot of things about the algorithms and search engines we will never be able to know. But the one thing we do know is the things that they show you in search results. And what they show you in search results are a link, a title, a description, and a good chunk of your content and how good it is or bad it is that to answer a question. So they're looking at quality of content and things like that to get included.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go a little deeper into there because I know a lot of entrepreneurs. I experienced this when I started a search engine optimization agency up in Boston in my early 20s. Is we would go into a local pizza shop, for example. Actually, our first ever client was a sandwich shop, and the guy said to us, the owner, he said, "Well, I'm already listed in Google." And we said, "For what? We couldn't find you anywhere." And he goes, "If you Google my exact company name." And Denise, that's what a lot of people think is if people can find me when they Google my company, I'm good. The reality is, of course, we want to be found by other people. Talk to us about those branded searches that we probably inevitably show up for versus what we hope to show up for.
Right. So there's this whole topic of keywords. There's this, and keywords are the language of your potential customer client, the things that they type in on their keyboard or in their voice search on their mobile or however they are looking for things. And those exact words, the whole question, 1 or 2 words, 3 or 4 words, whatever it is, those are the connectors of your content to these searching people. If you have content that has supporting things for that topic and those words, you'll be a match and you'll be provided to the searching person. So that is what I look at as the connection. Now, as far as branding and all these other terminologies, it's really just making sure you pick the words that your folks are looking for when they're going to search. It's not simple, but it is simple. So
Yeah, let's go deeper there then, because I feel like a lot of people, it's easy for us to get inside of our own heads. I personally, in the past, I've used this website, I think it's answerthepublic.com, where I can put in a topic and it will show me what real life people using real life data are searching for. What are some of those examples of how we can get inside the head, not only of us as business owners, which we're always in our own heads, but to think like a searcher?
Honestly, my biggest advice for a free tool is to use Google. to use autocomplete as you start to type and have the results start to show. And that shows you other people's things that they've typed in that might match, that expand on what you're thinking. If you do a search for a topic, they're going to show you other searches, other questions, images, videos that match that, and give you other ideas of which direction you might go to expand on your topic. And then there's also Answer the Public is no longer free except for 2 searches, I think, a month. So they're great, but also Moz does a really great free option where you can do some in-depth searching, like 10 per month. So if you really get your keywords down to something that you feel strongly that fits for you and your audience, you can get some really good data behind that to get as far as how many competitors you have and that kind of, how many other people are looking for those words and what might be better options for you.
Yeah, I love the fact how generously and transparently you share these real life tools. Moz is incredible, honestly. Even the free content that they put out, aside from the tools that you can use for free, their blog has so much incredible information, which I guess even talking about their blog leads me to the next topic, which is content. We say in the world of marketing, content is king, but Denise, somewhere along the way, I feel like people stopped viewing content as content to be searched and indexed, and they just started viewing, we all hear about Instagram posts and Facebook and TikTok these days. What sort of content should we as business owners be putting into the world because it's going to help us get found?
Well, it is quite amazing that the largest search engine owns YouTube. And that is the rising star right now, as you know. So everything that you put on YouTube is indexable in search. So that could be a result. Each short, each clip, each video you put out there can be content. Also, your profiles on your social media accounts are included. So you want to make sure you fill those out well to describe your business. They're a little bit more the yellow pages kind of info. And then podcasts on your platforms. I always recommend people have a page for each episode on their website so they control the narrative on their podcast episode so that gets included at the detail level. Blogs, everything that you can create, you should somehow have on your website so you can control what gets into the search engines.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful thing that we just need to stay on top of it. We're doing all of these things. We need to make sure it's out there, which leads me to ask you about AI. Obviously, it's the elephant in the room in so many different conversations along the way. And I've seen way too many businesses just hop in ChatGPT and generate 500 blog posts that are not great content. Denise, what's your take on AI, where it is now and where it should go?
I don't know if you want to hear about this. Look, I think of AI, being a programmer, being a computer scientist. AI is a program. AI is a database. It's advanced technology that's taking advantage of speed in processing and the power that we have now that we didn't have before. And there are human people writing the programs to answer the ChatGPT prompts, so it's only as good as those people can create it, and only as good as the information that go into the large language models, which up until now is limited and has not been as far-reaching as people would think. At one point it was stopping at 2022. So, we're missing a few years in there. So I think there is value in speeding up people's work. I think there's value in helping with some tasks, but it's in no way, shape, or form ready to be a replacement for anything. It's an advanced technology is where I view it. And I think we're going to see some interesting things come along the way that are going to make the heavy tasks lighter, but I don't see it as the solution to the world, honestly.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that. Listeners, I'm gonna piggyback off of Denise's points right there. How many amazing guests have you heard this from? A lot of people hoping AI is going to replace us. Denise said it right there. It can speed up your work, but you cannot replace the work. It's such an important perspective. So I appreciate you sharing that, Denise. But I think it does beg the question of, it's a balance between obviously optimizing the content that we do have versus creating that additional content. And that's obviously where people hope that AI can just replace it for them. What's that balance that you put for business owners, entrepreneurs who are facing a million different tasks? Is it something we should commit to on a weekly basis? Is creating new content? What types of content? You've given us an overview of blog posts, for example. Our homepage content is indexable. How much is it that we should focus on our existing content versus creating new stuff?
Wow, that's a heavy topic, Brian. I would say whatever you choose to do that is relevant for your audience, that is going to reach the people that you are interested in helping. So you have to figure out where they are and which platform they're on and what style of media they like to consume, whether it's a podcast, a video, a blog. Are they readers? Are they scrollers? You have to figure that out. And then choose whatever you do choose to create that's new and do it consistently. The one thing that we know that does not work very well is having things go out for 6 months and then stop for 6 months. You're better off doing once a week than doing 5 days a week for 3 months. So the consistency is the big thing in getting your reputation and getting the exponential growth you want to see in content use. As far as going backwards, you get credit in the search engines for updating pages and entries. So they like new and fresh content. So it's always helpful to go back and tweak what you've done, make it a little bit fresher, give it a today update on what you've written before or something. And I don't mean be facetious and just add things on. We don't write for search engines. We write for our clients and customers, potential clients and customers. So add more value when you can, and do a couple at a time. That's relevant to what you have. And I think you'll succeed there. I wouldn't ever tell anybody to go back and change everything to bring it up to date. Just start slow.
Yeah, Denise, I'm going to ask you to go a little bit deeper there because that is such an important point that I want you to hammer home for our listeners here, which is we don't do these things for the search engines. We do these things for the humans on the other side. Talk more about that because that's the one place that I feel like SEO gurus and experts can deceive their audiences is they get so obsessed about the technical components. Talk to us about the human element.
Yes, the human element about all of this, and I've always said SEO is optimizing your search results, but search marketing and search engine use and real optimization of your content is providing content that shows your expertise, shows your authority, helps people trust you, helps people understand your perspective on what you're talking about. And none of that can be found by flashy things, videos, and things like that. You really have to provide help and give it out there so that people can get to know you and like you and trust you. And that is what marketing has always been. And search engines are no different. So I think you have to dive deep. You have to really give the content. And then no matter what the search engines do in their algorithms, which is their formula for what they show or don't show, what they include or don't include, it doesn't matter. If you do a good job at presenting what you're all about, you are going to find the people that resonate with you. And those people are going to then want to work with you because they're going to find out more about you, because they're going to see multiple links or get to your website and find out more. So that's what we're trying to do, is make connections and provide service. So, sorry, soapbox.
No, I think it's an important soapbox, truth be told, because I'll think back when I started my first business in 2008, organic traffic was what drove it to 3.5 million unique visitors every single month. So my soccer blog at that time grew into a flourishing business that I didn't expect as a college kid. But Denise, full transparency, in 2008, you could just keyword stuff, whatever words you wanted to rank for.
Well, let's talk about keyword stuffing. Okay.
Take it away for listeners who don't know.
That is like people used to literally repeat the same word. If they were selling cigars, it'd be cigar, 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 so like 50 times in a row, or they put it in different colors and put it larger and smaller, and they put it in white on a white background, and it was all to trick the programs. Well, I have to tell you, 20 plus years down the road, since this all began, the programs are way more advanced. They know all those things that you do. And if you do any of them, or all those old things, if you employ any of those tactics, you can get banned, basically, and you will never be allowed to put anything into a search engine. So it's not worth it. It's provide value. You're not trying to trick the system, because the system changes all the time. And so you really have to lean on those things that show your integrity.
Yeah, I'm glad that you called that out, because I do still see it to this day. It worked back in, like I said, 2008, but we quickly realized you're always one algorithmic update away from it no longer working. But it's a shame. If listeners are thinking, who would be keyword stuffing? I see, for example, I'll call out, if you find a lawyer's website, let's pick on lawyers, because neither of us are lawyers, Denise.
No, I'm not a lawyer.
Lawyers will write like real estate lawyer in Tampa, Florida. We are the #1 rated real estate lawyer in Tampa, Florida. And they keep saying it in different ways. Search engines are clever, way more clever than all of us. So I love the fact that you called that out. But I do want to ask you this then, Denise, while we're here on the air together, where does it go wrong? Because all of this stuff is easier said than done. And part of what you do, I'm going to publicly praise you here, is that you don't just do this stuff and help others with it, but you have a real ability and gift of simplifying it for others. And I feel like where others get overwhelmed from the plethora of information that's out there, you boil it down to, this is what really matters. This is the only stuff to think about. So what are some of those examples of where it goes wrong for people who do have those good intentions?
Well, the examples of where it goes wrong, and I don't get me wrong, I do it myself, because I get overwhelmed in the tasky things I have to do in my business. And all it takes is one illness or one upset schedule for a couple of days, and it's really hard to keep up if you're a solopreneur. So everybody has to understand that that is a natural thing. But if you can get the 5 things that I talk about, which is get your keywords, figure them out, get your titles and descriptions, do some formatting in your pages that reinforces your topic, and write good content. That's really all you have to do. Get those things in there and get them out onto a platform that's read by a search engine, and you're going to get some success. And it's a long game. It's not a short game. So you have to do it over time and incrementally build on it, and you will see results. So, yeah. And I forget what you know.
No, you're good, because
off here.
You're making me realize actually how much I take for granted the back end of it, coming from the world of growing an organic search-based business as my first business, is that I lived in Google Analytics, Denise. And it blows my mind here in 2024 that we are 16 years later, and still a lot of business owners, especially the solopreneurs among us, don't even have Google Analytics installed. Talk to us about that back end, because you talk about getting results and getting found. How do we start measuring this stuff?
Right. So, the first thing you have to do is know what's out there. So there are some things you can do in the search engine itself to see what comes up under your name. Make sure you're there. Make sure you know what's being said about you. If somebody were to meet you at a networking event, but they forget the name of your business or what your website is, they're going to go for your name. So you better make sure your name shows what you want it to show. And a picture, because there's so many people with your name, whether you believe it or not. So that's number one. And then I would say that, there's so, I don't want to go here, it's just like I'm saying, there's so many things that you can do to look at results, but you can make yourself crazy, honestly. So what I like to tell people to do is take the step and get your website into Search Console, install Google Analytics, and get one report, visitors or keywords or something that you understand, and go to that and take a snapshot when you start, and go back every couple weeks and take another snapshot and see if it's changing. See if there's something that's happening, if you can get more out of the keyword reports in Google Analytics. That's really the most helpful thing you can do, because that feeds your content and it helps you tweak things. So I want to say that there are always analytics out there, but sometimes people want to go to that before they do the stuff that's necessary to get results. So there are so many tools out there, and it confuses everyone. So I would like to keep it clean and go to the basics. Visitors and keywords is where I would go.
Yes, I do love and appreciate how simple you make it. And I will also say 964 episodes of this show, you are the very first guest to ever bring up Search Console. And that is truly, there's a lot of confusing stuff in Google Analytics, but Search Console really is so useful for all of us business owners. Denise, since you're the first one to introduce it to listeners, what the heck is Google Search Console?
Okay, so Google Search Console is a way for you to tell Google you own a website address. For me, DeniseMillet.com. And
you have to turn off airplane mode.
Oh my goodness, my phone's talking to me. Sorry. So it tells Google that you own this website and that you then want them to search it. You want them to read it and index your content. So it identifies your website, your web address to the search engine. As a result of that connection, you can then go in, it'll report back traffic statistics and some other information about what they see happening with your website. Who's coming to visit it from search, who's coming to visit from other places. There's a bunch of things that you can find out. And it just gives you stats on traffic, really, more than anything else.
Yeah, which super useful. All of us, if you have a website, it's so simple and it's free. So much of what Denise is talking about today is free and accessible to you. So I think it's really important to take advantage of it, which, trust me, Denise has so many tools to help you even long after this episode. We're going to talk about those at the end of the episode. But Denise, I've got to ask you the question that every listener, we always hear this question, and it is about time, because we are an impatient society these days. We are the society, and especially, I'll call out my fellow millennials, but even younger, I think they're worse than me, Denise, of instant gratification. How long does this stuff take? Because for people who log into Search Console, we probably won't see the metrics that we dream of, but with consistent efforts, you talked about, don't just do this for 6 months, make it part of the way that you grow your business sustainably. How long does it start to take to become findable?
Let me give you an example. Somebody that is in the community, that my mastermind community that I'm in, and this lovely group of people, we do the show every week, Entrepreneurs, Good Morning Entrepreneurs. So this person was migrating their website from a WordPress website into Kajabi and interviews with celebrities and other stuff. So he re-released all of his interviews, hundreds of them, into this new platform over an 18-month period. At the end of 18 months, he had 1 million visitors to his site. And he started with 0 on this new web address. So 18 months. And I would say in 3 months, you should see increases, slow and steady, if you continue to tweak your keywords and you try to make the connections with your people the best you can.
Yes, I love that real life example, because it also addresses a lot of the concerns and false barriers that we put inside our own heads of, oh, it's a brand new website. And you just called it out. This is from scratch. So consistent efforts, these things compound. I love your emphasis on these, Denise. I have to ask you, because I have teased quite a few times throughout our conversation today, you've got to talk to us about some of your solutions for entrepreneurs, because you obviously are passionate about this and you love simplifying it for people. I'm personally intrigued about the virtual scavenger hunt. So Denise, tell us more about some of your solutions.
Okay, so here's the thing. Keywords. You and I talked about keywords and we understand what they are, but everybody else is kind of going, what's a keyword? I hear it. It's scary. I don't know what it is. It sounds techy. And it's really the connecting words that people use to search, right? Well, when you're trying to figure out what your keywords are, you don't know. You really don't know. Like, even for me, am I a website designer? Am I a website builder? Am I a consultant? Am I, strategist? So the scavenger hunt was meant to, in a light way, get people around their keyboards into a browser, looking at some of the features the browsers can show you and what you can do to look for alternative words that fit for your business. So through examples where I just send people out and say, go find me a pair of purple and red sneakers, here's the picture, and they have to figure out how many words it takes to find that exact shoe. Let's say it's an example. And I have a spinny wheel. We give away some, Starbucks Duncan, have fun, do some laughs. So I was trying to do it every month. It got a little heavy as I've had this year. And so now I'm doing it quarterly. So
Yes, I love that. It is a fun way. What I really love about it is it's action oriented. It's not just you're going to educate people. They do the things. And I think that that's so powerful. Right. Along those lines, talk to us about your ebook and your Be Findable, your print book as well. I'd love for listeners to be familiar with all these great things you're putting into the world.
So I've had this idea for an SEO, kind of not SEO book for a long time. And I really wanted to have people be able to take the do-it-yourself actions themselves if they wanted to go that path and if they were comfortable, because it is simplified if you follow it. It's really not overly intense, and I try to make it as plain as possible and only what you have to do. So the name of the book is Be Findable, as you said. If they can't find you, they can't do business with you. It's only 120 pages. It comes with a spreadsheet that you can keep track of the work you do and some other goodies. It's available on Amazon, and the electronic version is available on my website if you just can't wait for the print version to come. And in it, really, it's kind of like my workshop in the sense that I give you examples of people who have had difficulty, stories, and then, here's how you actually do it. Here's why you want to do it, and here's the actual things you need to do as much as possible.
Yeah, it's great. Denise, I will say I knew long before you came onto the show that this episode would for sure, one, it would inspire and motivate listeners to actually take these simple steps in their business. Literally, it's very rare that I can make blanket statements on this show because everyone's in different businesses at different growth journeys. But the stuff we're talking about today and the work you put into the world, every single business benefits from it. So I think it's really powerful. And I knew that also your episode would prompt a lot of homework for listeners. So super excited for
that. Not work. It's not work.
That's true.
Value activity. It's activity with value.
Ooh, value activity. I'm going to steal that one, Denise. I really like that term.
I'm a consultant to the core,
I love it.
Heavy workout.
Heck yeah. So before we drop those links so that people can start going forth and doing those value activities, I always ask at the end of episodes, what's your one piece of advice, whether as a subject matter expert or just as one of us, as a fellow entrepreneur, listeners at all stages, what's that one thing you want to leave them with today?
I know the beginning of this journey, of this findability journey, and the thing that sticks with people the most is what is a keyword and how the heck do I figure them out? And my biggest advice for people is to really put the shoes of your potential client or customer on. Sit on the other side of the keyboard. What are the exact words they're thinking? And if that means you have to create, don't use any fancy avatar words or profile, with none of that. Just picture somebody in your head. Go find a picture on the internet of somebody that looks like the person that's your ideal that you want to work with. And what's their life like? How are they referring to you? Are you a tax accountant or are you somebody that does my taxes? It's as simple as that. Try to get their language into your content, and I think you'll make better connections that way.
Yes, Denise, powerful, actionable, and simple. You managed it from start to finish in today's episode. I'm so appreciative of the generosity of sharing all of these things in this episode, but even more so, I'm so appreciative of the work that you're doing to lift up other entrepreneurs. So drop those links on us. Where should listeners go to find all these incredible things you offer?
Everything is on my website at denisemillet.com. Nothing, no slashes, just go right there. It's all on the front page. Take a look around and, reach out if you have any questions.
Yeah, so listeners, you already know the drill. We're making it as easy as possible. Denise has made it easy. When you land on your website, you'll literally see it all laid out. You cannot miss what you're looking for. She is for sure the Findability Queen. So definitely go to her website, denisemillet.com. You'll see her name is in the title of this episode, but also you can click right on through using the link in the show notes wherever it is that you're tuning in. Otherwise, Denise, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's been great fun.